Welcome to my YouTube channel Easy Electrical Engineering. So this is your Sai Kumar. So in the last session I discussed about what are the important electrical subjects. In this session I will start with transformer. So please subscribe to my channel for getting more videos. Okay, so coming to the transformers, in these transformers I will explain the topics, these 12 topics. So first I will give the introduction about these 12 topics, and then I will start the transformers introduction. Okay, so coming to the main contents of the transformer, in this it consists first introduction, means introduction what is a transformer and what is the need of transformer in our power system. Okay, so and the second one is a basic principle of transformer. So we have to know the basic principle for any machine before going to know about that machine. So basic principle is a very important thing. We must know and we must have the knowledge about the basic principle. So that's why I am going to explain the basic principle of a transformer. Next, coming to the construction of transformer. So mainly transformer consists of two parts. They are, one is core and second one is winding. There are other constructional elements are also there. So when I start construction, I will explain clearly the main parts of transformers. Okay, next thing is ideal transformer. So a transformer for becoming ideal, it must possess some features. So in this fourth content I will explain the features for becoming the ideal transformer. Okay, next thing is working of a transformer, how the transformer will works, I will explain very clearly. And the sixth one is equivalent circuit diagram of transformer. And next, seventh one is EMF equation of a transformer. I will derive the EMF equation of transformer. And the eighth one is losses in transformer. So this is also very important topic in transformers, because to know the efficiency of transformer we have to know the losses. Not only for transformer, for any machine, first before going to analyze the efficiency, first we have to analyze the losses, because efficiency is equal output by input. So that output is nothing but input plus losses. So before knowing about the efficiency, we have to know the losses of transformer. Okay, next, testing of transformer. So there are some tests on transformer, like open circuit test and short circuit test. So I will explain the way each and every test clearly. And the 10th one is efficiency and voltage regulation of the transformer. This is also most important topic in the transformer. Okay, so and the 11th one is three-phase transformer. Up to now, from the introduction, it consists of single phase transformers, and the 11th one is I will explain about the three-phase transformers and what are the difference between the single phase and three-phase transformers. Okay, so next one and final one is a special type of transformer, that is auto transformer. It is most important thing. So there must be questions arises in case of academic background and competition background. Okay, so these are all the main contents which consist in the transformer. So next one is the next slide is, in the next slide I will start with introduction. Okay, so first, what is a transformer? So transformer is a static device which transfers electrical power from one circuit to another circuit without change in frequency. So this is a general basic definition of a transformer. So it is a transformer is a static device. So it there are no rotating parts in transformer. In our all electrical machines, the only static device is transformers. So static device means there are no rotating parts in the transformers. Okay, so what is the main work of the transformer means it changes the power, it transfers the power from one circuit to another circuit. It transfers the power from one circuit to another circuit without change in frequency. Without change in frequency. So, and the main purpose is it changes the voltage levels. Transformer changes the voltage levels. Okay, so it either increases the level of voltage from primary to secondary or decreases the level of voltage from primary to secondary. Okay, so I will repeat again. So the transformer is a static device which transfers the electrical energy from one circuit to another circuit without changing frequency. Okay, so and transformer transfers the power either increasing the voltage or decreasing the voltage. Either increasing voltage or decreasing the voltage. So if transformer changes the transfers the electrical power in increasing manner and that means it transfers the power with increasing voltage, then such type of transformer is called as step up transformer. So step up transformer. So if a transformer transfers the electrical power with decreasing the voltage levels, then it is called as step down transformer. So up and down. So that the terms indicates that step up means which transfers the electrical power with increasing in voltage is called as step up transformer, with decreasing voltage is called as step down transformer. Okay, so now, so before going to classification of transformers, first we have to know what is the need of a transformer. What is the need of a transformer? Okay, so in general our electrical power which is using in our domestic purpose, which is using in our industrial, in commercial purpose, that electrical power generated in different types of generating stations. And the types of generating stations I will explain in while discussing about the power systems. But that that electrical power generated in the generating stations, and the generating stations are constructed far away from the load centers, because to meet desirable requirements of installation of that power plants. In general, a thermal power station is installed at the nearer to the water sources. Okay, so there are number of factors influences for installing the power station, generating station. So in general, all these generating stations are installed very far away from load centers. So we have to transfer that power. We have to transfer that power into the towards the load centers. Okay, we have to transfer all the generated power to the load centers. So basically, power systems, I can classify the power systems into these four types, four parts. So first generation means where the power is generated, either it is thermal power station, hydro power station, nuclear power station, or anything. So from the generating station, it has to transfer through the transmission network. It has to transfer through the transmission networks, and from the transmission network, if it moves towards the distribution network. The distribution network is nothing but which is nearer to the load centers. Okay, so after that the distribution network, the utilization means in our, for example, in our home we are utilizing the power. Okay, so the total power systems can be divided, I can divide it into these four parts: generation, transmission, distribution and utilization. So at the generating station, the normally power generated in medium voltage range, that is either 22 kV, like that. Okay, so after that, that power has to step up in the transmission network. So that means in the transmission network the power may be 132 kV, 240 kV. So that means the power must be, the power must be high voltage range. Okay, in case of transmission. Why means, if the voltage levels are increases, that the required conductor material decreases. There are number of advantages for high voltage AC transmission. This will occur in the transmission in the transmission system of power system. No problem, I will explain that why in transmission network we use high voltages. Okay, so I will tell you what is the reason. So first you have to remember, in generation at the generating stations, the power generated in medium range of voltages. Why here medium range of voltage we are generating means, here to overcome the insulating problems, we use medium range of voltages. So after that, it has to step up for in case of transmission network, because there are number of reasons it will occur in the transmission systems. After that, that high voltage AC power has to step down in case of distribution system. Okay, so distribution systems are nothing but they are distributed in our localities. They distribute the power between our localities. So in the distribution network, that step up power, that high voltage 132 kV power has to step down to 33 kV, like that. So after that, while coming to the utilization, that 33 kV must be stepped down, because in our home regularly we use the power in the range of 230 volts or 420 volts. So that high range of voltage must be stepped down to these levels. Okay, so if you analyze the total things, what is the meaning here? There is a requirement of step upping the voltage, step down the voltage. So we have to increase the level of voltage, we have to decrease the level of voltage. So that's why we use transformers in the power systems. For example, at the generating station, the power generated at the medium level of voltage. When coming to the transmission network, it has to step up. So here we use step up transformers. By using step up transformers, we are increasing the level of voltages. And at the in between the transmission and distribution system, and again that high voltages has to step down. So here we use step down transformers. And here coming to the distribution to utilization, here also we use step down transformer to decrease the level of voltages. So still now we completed the main what is the definition of transformer and what is the need of the transformer. So next we will discuss about the features of transformer. Okay, so what are the features of a transformer? So transformer is a constant frequency device. Transformer is a constant frequency device because the frequency must constant. Okay, so why the frequency must constant? So in a video, I will make a video. So because in that video I will explain about the power grid and what are the reasons for power grid failures. So how we overcome the power grid failures. So in that I will discuss about the this term, why the frequency must constant. Okay, so the transformer is a constant frequency device, and next it is a constant power device. Transformer is a constant power device. So next, transformer does not change the nature of output, means that for the transformer the input voltage is electrical energy and the output voltage is electrical energy. So there is no change in the nature of the power. For example, consider the generator. In case of generator, the input is mechanical energy and the output is electrical energy. So there change of nature of energy occurs, but the transformer does not change the nature of output. Okay, so next, transformer is electrically isolated and magnetically coupled circuit. Yes, transformer does not connect electrically. It has two windings. One winding is called as primary winding and the second one is called as secondary winding. Okay, so the transformer transforms the power from primary winding to secondary winding. So the two windings are does not connect electrically, they connected magnetically. So this it will be very clear when I am discussing about the working of transformer uh, and the future topics in our future topics, how they are connected electrically, does not connect electrically, and how they are connected magnetically. Okay, so first you have to remember transformer is a electrically isolated device and magnetically coupled circuit. Okay, so and transformer is a phase shifting device. Okay, so it shifts the phase 180 degrees phase displacement between the two circuits. Okay, so next one is a transformer is a singly excited device. Okay, so it requires only one external voltage source to energize the two windings. Okay, transformer requires only one energy, one an external energy source to excite the two windings. So it will be very clear while discussing the working of transformer. Okay, so next seventh one is transformer is a constant flux device. So we are going to derive these statement. We are going to prove this statement. Okay, so first you must know about the features of transformer. So these seven are the features of transformer. So when the transformer means you have to remember first these seven things. So it is a constant frequency device, constant power device, and does not change the output nature of output, and it is electrically isolated and magnetically coupled, and it is a phase shifting device 180 degrees, and it is singly excited device, and the transformer is a constant flux device. So coming to the next slide. So in this slide I'm going to explain the working principle of transformer. So still now we are discussing about the what is main definition of transformer and what is the need of transformer and what are the features of transformer. So now we have to know the first basic principle of transformer. It is very important. So mainly the transformer works on the principle of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Okay, so Faraday's law, what are the Faraday's laws? I will explain when I am discussing about the electromagnetic fields. Okay, so general the transformer works on the principle of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Okay, so according to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, the statement of Faraday's law is, according to the Faraday's law, whenever there is a relative space or time variation. So please remember the two words. I will explain again. According to the Faraday's law, whenever there is a relative space or relative time variation between magnetic field and the set of conductors, then EMF will induced in set of conductors according to the Faraday's law. Okay, so Faraday's law states that whenever there is a relative space or relative time variation between the magnetic field and set of conductors, then there must be EMF induced in the set of conductors. Okay, so this is a statement of Faraday's law. So according to Faraday's law, EMF induced in the set of conductors. So for inducing the EMF, the basic requirements are three. So they are magnetic field and set of conductor and relative space or time variation. So according to statement, we can analyze that these three are basic requirements. Okay, so there must be one magnetic field and set of conductors, and there must be a relative time variation or space variation between these two magnetic field and set of conductors. Okay, so the basic requirements are magnetic fields, set of conductors, and relative variation in space or time. So depending upon the variations in the induced EMF, means in the last slide I discussed about that statement of Faraday's law. So based on that statement of Faraday's law, there must be relative space variation or relative time variation. So depending upon the two types of variation, so I will classify the induced EMF into two types. They are dynamically induced EMF and statically induced EMF. Okay, so coming to the definitions of dynamically induced EMF, this is the EMF induced in set of conductors due to relative space variation. Okay, so means there is a variation in the space. Okay, that means either field or set of conductor must be rotated. There must be relative space variation occurs. For example, consider the DC generator. So in the DC generator, when set of magnetic conductor rotates and cuts the magnetic lines of force, and then EMF is induced. That means rotation occurs. Rotation occurs means relative space variation exists between the set of conductors and the magnetic field. Okay, so the such type of induced EMF is said to be dynamically induced EMF. So the direction of that induced EMF in the dynamically induced in this dynamically induced EMF, the direction is founded by Fleming right hand rule. Okay, so the direction is founded by Fleming's right hand rule, and the equation for dynamically induced EMF is ED is equal to BLV sin theta. So we can say another like that, ED is equal to V cross into B cross into whole into LE. So where here B is the flux density and the L is the effective length of the conductor, and the V is the linear velocity with which conductor is being moved. That means rotation speed of the conductor. So this is the first one. Coming to the next one, statically induced EMF. So the second term, that means wherever there occurs relative time variation. So once again I am repeating, if there exists relative time variation between set of conductors and magnetic field, then it is statically induced EMF. Okay, so relatively time variation occurs between the magnetic field and the set of conductors. So example is transformer. In transformer there are no rotating parts. I already said this statement in the first slide. There are no rotating parts in the transformer. But how the EMF is induced means there occurs relative time variation. Okay, so and in these induced EMF can be founded by Lenz's law. Okay, so what is Lenz's law? Yes, Lenz's law is nothing but the direction of statically induced EMF is such that The current due to this EMF will flow through a closed circuit in such a direction that it will in turn produce some flux according to the electromagnetic theory, and this flux must opposes the change in main fluid flux. So this is the main statement of Lenz law. The induced induced EMF must opposes the original main field, and the flux produced by the induced EMF opposes the changes in main field flux. So this is the Lenz law. So, and the mathematically the statically induced EMF is equal to minus n into d phi by dt. So example for statically induced EMF is transformers. Still now we discussed about the basic principle of transformers and what are the types of induced EMF in the transformers. In the next slide I will explain about the construction of the transformer. So mainly transformer consists of these parts, that is core, winding, tank, transformer oil, conservator, terminals and bushings and breather. So in these all these things, the main core and winding are a most important constructional part of the transformer. Okay, these two are very important parts of the transformer, and these two are internal parts of the transformer. Okay, so first I will explain the remaining constructional parts of the transformer. The tank is nothing but which households the total equipments. This tank is nothing but which holds the total equipment of the transformer. So transformer, the next one is transformer oil. So transformer oil serves two purpose in the transformer. So that is, first one, it is used for insulation, and second one is it is used for cooling purpose. So transformer oil serves two works. There, first one is it serves like a insulator, and second one is it serves like a coolant. Okay, so and coming to the third one is conservator. So the main purpose of conservator is to maintain the level of oil in the transformer, because the oil must not be high and must not be low. It is in the medium range. So conservator, main the work of the conservator is to maintain that oil levels in the transformer. And the next one is terminals and bushings. So the terminals and bushings are connected external side of the transformer. The bushing is connected for incoming supply and outgoing supplies. Okay, so next final one is breather. So breather is used in the transformer for to allow the free air into the transformers. Okay, so these are the remaining parts of the transformer, and the main two important parts, that is core and winding. So these two are very important topics, and the process, the main work in the transformer held in these two parts. Okay, so first I will start with the core, then I will complete with the winding. Okay, so I already said that core is the main important part of the transformer. So in the given diagram, this direction is this path is called as core. Okay, this path is called as core. So in the transformer, the basic material used for core is silicon steel. Okay, so this path, this green color area is called as core, and the core is made with silicon steel. So why the silicon steel is used? So the reason for silicon steel is the silicon steel has high permeability value. Okay, it has high permeability value, and it has low reluctance to the flow of flux. Low reluctance, it is denoted by like this. So reluctance means nothing but like our resistance. So in our electrical circuits, resistance means which opposes the flow of current, and the reluctance means which opposes the flow of flux. So that silicon steel has low reluctance value. Okay, so it is one of the advantage using the silicon steel. Okay, so first one is it has high permeability, and the second one is it has low reluctance value. So the core is main important part, and the core is made with silicon steel. I already said that. So silicon steel is, why silicon steel is used? The first one is it has high permeability, and the second one is it has low reluctance for the flow of flux, and the third one is it has low hysteresis coefficient. So the range of hysteresis coefficient in the for a silicon steel is 1.5 to 2.5. So in general for the silicon steel it has 1.6 hysteresis coefficient. So if it has low hysteresis coefficient means it has low hysteresis losses. Okay, so this is also one of the advantage of using silicon steel. And next one is here it has we add 4 to 5% silica to this material. Why we adding the 4 to 5% silica means for reducing the eddy current losses. Okay, so for reducing the eddy current losses we also use the laminations also. In the next slide I will discuss what is the meaning of laminations. So main, first in this slide you have to remember first what is the material used for manufacturing of the core. Silicon steel is used for making of the core. Why silicon steel means, first one is it has high permeability and low reluctance, and second one is it has low hysteresis coefficient. About it has the value is 1.6, and it has here 4 to 5% silica is added for decreasing the eddy current losses. So in general we use CRGO steel here. So what is the meaning of CRGO? Means cold rolled gain oriented. Cold rolling gain or oriented steel is used for manufacturing of core. Okay, so because it has more advantages, it has a number of advantages compared to other one. Okay, so this is about the core construction. Okay, so next one is here I will explain one important thing, that is for core we use laminations. Okay, we use laminations for manufacturing of the core. So here in the figure, so it is the first lamination, it is the first lamination, and the second lamination, third lamination, fourth lamination. So here why we use the laminations means the best the main reason for using the laminations are to reduce the eddy current losses. For reducing the eddy current losses we use laminations here. Okay, so in the next slide I will discuss clearly about the laminations. Okay, so moving to the next slide. The next slide, laminations are nothing but a thin strips. So it also is material, so but it is in the form of thin strips, and these are used to mainly decrease the eddy current losses. So there must be a insulating material is installed between every two laminations. Okay, so there must be insulating material is provided between the laminations. So due to this insulating material using, the total cross sectional area of the core can be increased. Okay, in general if we neglect the insulating material, then only we consider the laminations, then the cross sectional area will somehow value. If we consider the insulating material also, then the cross sectional area increases, definitely it will increases. So by using this concept, I can definite two definitions, that is cross sectional area of the core and net cross sectional area of the core. So cross sectional area of the core means here we are including the insulating material area also. Okay, so in our slide it shows that gross cross sectional area of the core is nothing but area occupied by the magnetic material and the area occupied by the insulating material also. So here I am considering the insulating material area. Okay, so coming to the next one, it has only net cross sectional area. That means here we neglecting the insulating material area. Here I am neglecting the insulating material only considering the magnetic material only. Okay, so by using these two formulas, that is gross cross sectional area and net cross sectional area, there is one definition we have to remember, that is static factor or iron factor. So according to this, static factor is defined as net cross sectional area by gross cross sectional area. Okay, so net cross sectional area by gross cross sectional area. Okay, this is the static factor definition. So next there are some definitions we have to remember, that is core staggering. So core staggering is nothing but the laminations are properly staggered, means properly connected in the core. Okay, so the process of bunching all laminations to get required shape is called as core staggering. That means connecting of the all laminations into to get a required shape is called as core staggering. So core staggering must be properly done. If there is any improper designs are in the core, then it will leads to the magnetic hum. So magnetic hum is nothing but magnetic sound. So the basic reason for this magnetic hum is magnetostriction phenomenon. Okay, so according to this magnetostriction phenomenon, if any improper core staggerings or occurs are there, then the frequency of the noise is double that of supply frequency. Okay, I am repeating. So if any improper core staggering methods are there in the core, then the frequency of noise is double that of supply frequency. Then the sound occurs more. This will leads to the magnetic hum. Okay, so this is about the basic core constructional and what is the laminations. Okay, so still now we discussed about the core construction. Core is made with silicon steel. So why silicon steel is used? So there are some reasons to use the silicon steel. And another important thing in case of core, we have to remember that laminations. So what are the laminations? And based upon the laminations, we are defining the gross cross sectional area, net cross sectional area, staggering factor, core staggering, and magnetic hum. Okay, still now we completed a core, and now we'll start with windings. Okay, so I already said that core and windings are two important constructional parts of the transformer. We completed core, and the next one is windings. So transformer windings are made of either copper or aluminum. Windings are nothing but our conductor material. Connecting of number of conducting materials is nothing but winding. So here the material used is what material we are using in manufacturing the conductor, either copper or aluminum. So this is the same is used here to manufacturing of transformer winding. So in general, copper winding are used in power transformers. Power transformers means which are used at the transmission level. That means for increasing the voltages from generating stations to transmission system, and it is used at the primary transmission system. That means used to step down the high voltage to the low voltage at the in between the transmission and distribution systems. So power transformers means the range of rating of the transformer is more. Okay, so in that such type of power transformers we use copper windings, and the second one aluminum windings are used in case of distribution transformer. Distribution transformers, what we are seeing in our regular localities, means low rating transformers. So in low rating transformers aluminum is used. Okay, so here windings are not made of single solid conductor. Okay, because if single solid conductor is used in the winding, there are additional stray load losses are there. So due to that reason we are not using, we didn't use single solid conductors. So we are using standards of conductor, standard of conductors. So number of strands are used. Such strands is nothing but dividing the conductor into number of pieces, number of types, number of parts. Okay, so we use standard conductor instead of single solid conductors. Okay, so by using this standard conductors, it is also very useful to reduce the skin effect. Okay, so what is skin effect? It is also very most important thing, and it will occur while learning about the transmission system. Okay, so now the winding procedure is different. There are two types of winding procedures are there. They are, first one is cylindrical winding and second one is sandwich winding. Okay, so first in the first one, cylindrical winding, all it is also called as interleaved winding. Okay, interleaved winding. So in the core type transformer, each winding is divided into two equal parts. Okay, so each winding is divided like this, like figure in the figure, in this figure, the each winding is divided into two equal parts, and that parts are placed on two separate limb. So what is the meaning of limb? Means this is the, sorry, wait, so this is called as limb. Okay, this is the limb or leg. This is also said to be leg. Okay, so in this type of winding, the total winding is divided into two parts, and the two parts are placed on the two separate limbs. So why we are connecting like this means to reduce the magnetic leakage flux. Okay, to reduce the magnetic leakage flux, we are constructing this like this. Here the half of HV and LV are placed in the same limb. So in the figure it shows that half of HV and LV are placed, and the LV is nearer to the core because to overcome the insulation problems. So this type of winding is called as cylindrical winding. So it is used in core type of transformer. So it is also very important, core type of transformer and winding type of transformer. In the next slide it will be there what is core type of transformer and what is shell type of transformer. Okay, so now it is in the core type transformer we use cylindrical winding. So what is the cylindrical winding? Means the total winding is divided into two parts, and it is distributed in the two separate limbs. Okay, so next one is sandwich winding. So sandwich winding means here the total winding is divided into number of parts like this. That means a sandwich consists of number of items. So like that, here also the winding is placed like a sandwiching. Okay, so that's why the name is sandwich type of winding. So here the total winding is divided into number of parts, and this will be arranged like this. So it is used in shell type of transformer. Okay, so the main purpose of these type of winding also to reduce the magnetic leakage flux and to reduce the losses. Okay, so cylindrical winding is used in case of core type transformer, and the sandwich is used in case of shell type transformer. Okay, so based upon this sandwich winding, we can define one another definition, that is window factor. So that window factor is nothing but height of the window by width of the window. So here for everything there must be height and width. So we can define that window factor also for this. So this is all about winding constructions. Okay, so winding is nothing but a set of conductors. So that conductor is we use standard type of conductors here. And then the winding procedures are two types. They are cylindrical winding or concentrating winding or interleaved winding. The second one is sandwich winding. So there is one another important topic left in this session, that is core type transformer and shell type transformers. This is also very important thing. So basically in the figure it shows first one is core type transformer and second one is shell type transformer. This is for single phase core type, three phase core type, and this is single phase shell type, and this is three phase shell type. So I will explain the differences between the core type and shell type based upon the single phase type. Okay, so the first difference is the core type transformer consists two limbs. Okay, I already said that what is the limb. So it is consists two limbs, consists only two limbs. But in case of shell type transformer it consists three limbs. This is the first one, second one, third one. It has three limbs. Okay, first differences is the core type transformer has the two limbs and the shell type transformer has the three limbs. And the second difference is here in the core type transformer core is surrounded by the windings. Okay, but in the winding type transformer or shell type transformer winding is surrounded by the transformer. So if you observe the differences between the two diagrams, it easily we can easily understand that in the first type core is surrounded by the windings. That means the total winding is surrounded the core, but in the second one winding is surrounded by the core. Okay, so this is the second one. And third one is third difference is windings are not protected by the core. Here in the first one windings are not protected. Okay, but in the second one windings are well protected by the core because core is surrounded by the winding. And the fourth one is leakage flux is more in the core type, but in the shell type leakage flux is less. Okay, so and the next one is, if you observe, this is a series magnetic circuit. This is a series magnetic circuit, but it is a parallel magnetic circuit. It is a parallel magnetic circuit. It is a series magnetic circuit and it is a parallel magnetic circuit. So this is the next difference. Okay, so next one is core type transformer requires more copper and less insulating material. Okay, so please remember this thing. It requires more copper and less insulating material, but a shell type requires less copper and more insulating material. And the final one is, it is used for core type transformer is used for small kVA rating transformer, that is in distribution transformer, and the winding transformer is used for large kVA rating transformers. So these are all the differences between core type and shell type. Okay, so if you rewind one thing, that in the core type transformer core is surrounded by the winding. In the winding shell type transformer winding is surrounded by the core. Okay, so in this session I completed that what is a transformer and what is the need of transformer. Okay, and next one, what is the basic principle of transformer, and the next constructional details of transformer. And we also seen that what is core, what is winding, and what are the materials used for manufacturing of core and winding. So in the next class I will continue with the ideal transformer characteristics and the working of transformer. So if you like the content, please subscribe. For any feedback, please mention in the comment section. Okay, thank you.